Hello and welcome to Community Service Spotlight. I'm your host, Bud Kwok, and the show today is really maybe one of our best. Do you believe in angels? We'll be right back. We're here today with Angel's Road to Success. An Angel Road to Success, is that the way?
Yes, An Angel's Road to Success.
Yeah, okay. And I asked a while ago, do we believe in angels? And I suppose you guys do, right? Yes?
Yes.
We do. We do.
This is Dawn Carty. She's the executive director. And Chris Fleming, president of the board.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, well, welcome to Community Service Spotlight. What does Angels do?
An Angel's Road to Success, it's a nonprofit organization, and I believe our main purpose is to give people the opportunity so that they can go to work and maintain employment. We have multiple programs. One of the programs that we have is auto repairs. We help them fix low-income families with automobile repairs. And like, for instance, if their head gasket blew up, that's usually about.
They're out of business then.
Right. They can't get to and from work.
Right.
And
so that's one of the main things you do is the auto repair?
That's one of them. That's what we started with. And then we have a mentor program. We work with people who they have past convictions on their record.
Oh.
They're recovering from drug and alcohol abuse. Homelessness is one of the areas that we work with. But we help them find work. And it's a matter of helping them change their thought processes. Because whenever they get out, they have, in the immediate support, they have no transportation, they have no housing, they have no clothing for that matter. Most of them have little or no work experience that's legal anyway. I mean, seriously. They know all they know what to do is to hustle. They want to change, but they're scared. I mean, it's a completely different environment. They have their own language. They have their own.
When she says they, we're talking a lot of times what we do, we'll work with people who are coming out of the jail from the halfway house. And then, so for instance, here coming up fairly soon, we'll have someone to come out, and after I've talked to him, on March the 1st, he's going to be released from jail. His whole family structure, his mom and dad's passed away. He's from New York. He was actually, he got in trouble down in Clarksville, but he's ended up here in Paducah for whatever reason. And so he has no family support whatsoever, right? He's got a grandmother in, I think,
Pennsylvania.
Well, somewhere. And then, so literally on March the 1st, they're just going to open up, he's going to be there.
Walks out the door and
that's it.
Here
what
I
do you
am.
do?
Yeah.
And so handouts only do so much, right? I mean, but you have to create a lifestyle of sustainability in whatever you do. So if you think of it like that, if someone were to just kick you out with no support, no car, no house, and then with the convictions that some of them have, getting housing is almost impossible because of certain type of income housing. If you have certain types of background, you can't even apply. It's not even, so you're basically setting up someone for homelessness and setting up someone for failure, and it's a hard road in that sense. It's very difficult.
So they go back to what they're comfortable with.
What they know, right? I mean, you go back to what you know.
You're helping the people that need it the worst.
Right.
It's not just somebody out of work or something. This person, they can, with that record, it's housing, jobs, everything are going to be twice as tough as just the average person.
Very much so.
So you're picking the very bottom to pick them up.
Well, it's also difficult, and I will say this, and hopefully, at least if somebody listens, I mean, it's also very difficult to help them in this sense that nobody really cares too much. I shouldn't say nobody, but when you think of funding for organizations, if you help children, or if you help animals, or if you help other causes, people are much more apt to give help. It's
Right.
much more difficult to convince somebody that
Right.
someone who's coming out of jail needs help. And so that's one of our probably struggles is to.
And you've got to convince that person, don't you, to accept the help, right? Is that hard too also?
In some cases.
Some cases it is.
But usually whenever they come to us, they're broken. When you have no one anymore, because they forget about you. If you've spent, which I would say a lot of ours have spent 5 to 10 years in prison, their family and friends, they have just forgotten about them. And they have nobody. So, I mean, humility, they know what humility is. And I would say the average person doesn't know what it's like to experience that. I can't tell you how many times we've helped a lot of people, and they're like, just thank you for caring.
Mm-hmm.
And they're at that point where they don't feel loved, they don't feel cared for. And yes, they've made poor decisions, and there's a stigma attached to them, and they will never be able to get out from underneath that. But this behavior began when they were children. They either didn't have the support that they needed when they were children. Mental illness is attached to it. A lot of them have experienced some things, some horrific things. Like one of them, their mother was murdered. Another one, his father was committed suicide, and he never received help for that. And this one person was essentially he grew up on the streets. That's where he lived.
And all those bad things happen, and most people don't know where to go.
Yeah, I mean,
I
had very good parents. Very good. I could make a mistake, and it doesn't cost me as much of a setback. Most of us have that. Some people make a mistake, and it costs them years to overcome. So that's one of the programs. So we do that mentoring program. We do the car repair program. I wanted to say something about that before we got too far. It's one of those things to where what we're trying to do is more than just the hand-down thing, right? So like one of the problems with, as you pointed out, was the loss of productivity. We're not in a city that has a lot of taxis or a lot of bus service. The bus service runs, I think, from 7 to 5. 8 to 5, something like that. So if you work at a restaurant, for instance, which a lot of us are going to be, the qualification that you can start off with as a restaurant, you're going to work 5 to 9. And if you live down, 13th, 14th Street, and you're working at a fast food restaurant down by the mall, it's a long walk, right? It's a really long walk. And so if you don't have that system in place, so that's why we focus on the car. It's so that it gives the ability to care for yourself in that sense.
We had one gentleman that he lived on the south side of town, worked on the west side. So he walked all the way from there to the mall area, back home, and then back to the south side for a second job. And he did this every day.
Yeah, so,
And
people don't pick up hitchhikers anymore.
No, they don't.
And for good reason a lot of times. But
The one that walked from the west side and then back to the south side for employment, we bought him a bike.
That's still hard work.
That's still hard work. Better than nothing.
But that's better than walking, yeah.
It's better.
So,
it's better than
so
walking.
those are the two major programs that we do. Along with it, of course, I'm the minister at the Margaret Cumberland Presbyterian Church, and so there is a spiritual component because we also believe pretty strongly that transformation doesn't happen through just getting your environment right. It also happens as an inner transformation. So that's a component that we work on as well. So
before we go any further, let's do the contact information. We're going to give it again at the end. So if you get your paper and pencil, we'll give it again at the end. But what telephone numbers, addresses?
Our telephone numbers, it's 270-845-1683 or 270-210-3736. Our mailing address is 1526 Park Avenue in Paducah, Kentucky, 42001. We are located inside Margaret Cumberland Presbyterian Church. They let us use space there.
Oh.
And they're, yeah.
Good.
Really. I'm very, very grateful for them. But we're down in the basement.
Okay.
not as grateful, but you
Yeah.
know, it's a place, right?
No, I'm grateful for our little area down in the basement.
I'm
like
on the
it.
board of some charities that don't have any place to
Right.
stay, so you're temporarily here and here, so that's great.
That's a good spot.
Yeah, so do you have an email address, or is there a website or anything?
We have a link to Margaret Hank. It's margarethank.org. Go to the FY.
Yeah, the
FYI
margarethank.org
tab.
website, you can find the
Okay.
links.
Yeah,
Margarethank.org.
sorry.
There you go. And we also have Facebook. We have a Facebook page on Facebook, just an Angels
Type in
Road,
what?
Angels Road to Success, and
An
then you
Angel Road,
and,
just-
and
It's-
Angels Road. And
Okay.
The Facebook is Angels.
Angels Road. If you type in Angels,
Angels
Road,
Road
you'll get
to
there.
Success.
Okay.
That'll
All right,
work,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
you can keep up with some of the stuff we do and some of the stuff we need, certain donations that we need for the thrift shop, which I'm sure we'll talk about sometime.
And then
Yes, we will. Get
There you go.
and then our email address, it's the name of our organization, and Angels Road to Success,
All one word.
all one word, at yahoo.com.
Yahoo. Okay. Back to the services, and you've covered most of. You got the mentor service. What is that? Can you explain that a little bit more?
When we say the mentor service, part of it is it all kind of goes into one. So far as transportation and then finding a job, we've partnered with some very good folks in the community. God bless them, and I don't want to name them all because I'll forget one. But some contractors and some people who just need some help here and there, and so we can usually work pretty well. We can get some people hooked up with them for a job. While they're doing the job, they have to complete certain steps, and that's when we say the mentoring program. They don't have to meet with me, but that's one of the strong suggestions. They need to meet with me, scheduled times, whatever. And so we just try to plan out, here's your immediate needs, here's what you need to be thinking about, here's your long-term goals. And then, so when we say mentor program, more so in that term. So like I said, you're not just, trying to make it on your own, which doesn't work out a lot of times if you don't have the skills to begin with.
In addition to that, I guess just life coach, if you will.
And a lot of them need that really badly.
A
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of us,
Yeah.
everybody needs
He says
Everybody
us
does.
too.
us.
He's my life coach. But we work with finances. We have a gentleman who will meet with them, and they just work on a budget. It's like, this is what you need, how much you need, and let's pay off this bill, et cetera. And that gives them just a base of what they need to focus on as far as their finances. And usually with child support, whenever they get out of jail, and $80,000, $90,000 they're in debt to child support because their child support still runs while they're incarcerated. We offer the transportation. We do. I know with some of them, if they work in a program, we make sure that they follow through with that. Like one gentleman, we actually did the first step. We're working on the first step, which that's
Of like AA or whatever type of thing. We'll
Okay.
keep them accountable to that.
Step by
But,
step.
Yeah, I mean, so that's it.
Small steps.
Yeah, I mean, so basically that mentor, I mean, it's a life coaching thing, and just getting through those first couple months, half year, even year, of just learning how to do life.
how to live.
Yeah, the budget thing, I work for a finance company. I work with money all the time, and I see it so often that people have, they talk about budgets, they have no idea what a budget is. Like one lady, she just thinks a budget is you list all the things you're going to spend your money on that
Right.
month, and that's a budget.
Right.
Living within your means is so important,
Right.
and so many people can't do that. They struggle, and then they get some money, and bam, they go out and they have a
Yeah.
party or something,
Yeah.
and it's all
It
gone.
gone.
It's so sad. And then the other thing I was going to comment on is the community really owes you a lot, because these people that come out of jail, if nobody helps them, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go back to what they know.
They're going to go back to what they know and
And
then
the big-
rely on government assistance,
Yep.
which of course you have to for a while in a lot of cases. But I mean, our goal is to say, hey, we get off government assistance. But that's one of the things. People complain about how tax dollars are spent or whatever. So you cut things, like food stamps or whatnot, which is fine, but it doesn't fix a problem. In that sense, it creates a problem. If somebody can't eat, they will find a way.
That's right.
One way or the other. And so the problem is there's a bigger problem than the presenting problem, I guess is what I'm saying. That's what we're trying to address, is that underlying problem, that not a handout, not trying to give nothing away for free or anything like that. We're really trying to help people become productive citizens of the community.
And they have, in order to stay in our program, they have to work on specific goals.
Which are individually made. So like one lady we've worked with her with reading, getting an acceptable reading level. So it varies from person to person. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Let's change gears just for a second. How did this get started, and how did you get involved?
You do your part.
Quick history.
That's a loaded question. We started this back in 2013. I used to work at a domestic violence shelter, and transportation was just a huge issue because they tended to go back to the people they were running from because they had that reliability. They could rely on them to pick them up and take them wherever they needed to go. So that was one of the first things that we recognized. When I had to leave there because I was sick, and once I got sick, I just couldn't stay at home and do nothing. So, which Chris and I, we had talked about, helping people get back to work and the transportation probably for a year or two. And then, so there is a positive to every negative. But we started it, and then he had the vision for the mentor program.
There's two aspects to this. I'm a pastor of a church that's in Fountain Avenue, and typical story, probably back in the 70s at 800 members. When I was hired back in 2008, it was down to 28. And we still have this huge, massive building, and the maintenance cost, my salary and everything, whatever, which, and huge, but we could do no help in the neighborhood, right? We couldn't do much ministry because every single dime was going toward staying afloat. And so my philosophy of ministry doesn't do that, right? So some of it was also trying to create a way in which our church could be innovative in being able to help the community, but we didn't have the money necessarily as a church, right? And so some of it was, here's the problem, here's a need, how can our church do it? We can't necessarily with what we have, and so by creating an organization, it would help, with people. Again, we got creative with the use of space with our thrift shop and down in the basement, and just trying to be creative to spread, to do the mission of the church. And so with the mentoring program, that's what I saw, people who came to the church needing finances or needing, help with the electricity or needing help. The problem wasn't necessarily the electric bill, or it was the income or their choice of spending and stuff like that. And so then how could we fit all that together, and this kind of merged. That's how that worked.
That's how it worked.
Well, that leads into my next question. Where do you get the money now?
There you go.
Yeah. How do you finance? Fixing cars is not cheap. I know.
No, it's not at all.
No, heavens no. We are able to get some grants, but until we get an audit, which that's $3,000. So in order for us to get more grants, we have to come up with the $3,000 in order to pay for the audit. Once we get the audit, then we can apply for more grants. In the meantime, we have a thrift store that's open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 3.
9 to 2.
9 to 2.
9 to 2.
Excuse me.
It's located at the church.
Someday it'll be 24 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully.
No. Only thing I want nothing to do with it 24 hours a day.
We'll hire a crew.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'll be on call then. No,
Yeah, right.
I'm already
But
called in the middle of the night.
9 to 2, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, located at the church, 1526 Park Avenue.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then that's probably, it's not a huge source of income. We sell things very cheap, right? So, but the thrift shop does a couple things. We sell items. What our thrift shop is, basically what it's become is when people are just trying to get up on their feet, or they get their first apartment, they're looking for like housewares, or they're looking for, plates, cups, tables here and there.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and so, but it doubles when we have someone that comes out that doesn't have clothes. We can we can provide them with clothes. We can also provide them with halfway decent looking clothes so that they can go to a business interview, right? Because a lot of people don't even have that. And so we both sell and we also donate through the thrift shop, whatever the needs may be.
Okay, the thrift shop. Now, I live in Paducah now. I haven't lived in Paducah my whole life, but I didn't know about this. So it's at the church, and then the church is on Park Avenue.
15th and Park.
Or
16th and Park.
16th?
16th
Okay.
Park, we're about, I guess,
It's a
I
big
think
brick
McNabb's on
church.
21st Street, so about 5 blocks down from McNabb Elementary.
Okay, when you go to the church, how do you get into the thrift shop? Is
It's
it
on the
front
side.
door?
It's on the side door in the education wing. There's a big sign now. Thanks River Graphics for donating the banner sign for us. So it's there, and it's staffed by members of the church, and that in itself is a ministry. And we also have the cool thing about the thrift shop. We have lots of people that have no intention to buy anything, but they just have somewhere to go and talk.
Okay.
And just hang out.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's a community ministry, even though there's no exchange of anything. It's just it's a need.
And it's a safe place.
It's a safe place where
Safe
people can
place.
go and they can just be, and that's a pretty good part of that ministry as well.
So you could drop stuff off
You can.
and just about anything.
Yeah, pretty much. If it's entirely too heavy, I don't want nothing to do with it.
We have to go downstairs.
Yeah, it's down a flight of
Go down
stairs and there's no
and
elevator.
So as long as you can carry it without hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Imagine one of us having to move it. So
And the drop-off time is the same as the opening time? or
I would love that to be the drop-off time. Yes, that's what we're going to
People
say.
can just drop it off as long as it's
Sometimes
not
people
raining
just
or
drop it off
snowing.
in the base, or just drop it off by the door, various and sundry hours in the morning, I guess. But
Sometimes people working all day, they
Right.
can't come by.
Right.
Okay, good.
and then we'll get it down and we will go through it and see what it is. Sometimes we try to partner up with other folks. If we have too much of an item or something, we'll call up St. Vincent's, or we'll call up River City Mission and say, hey, we've got this stuff. If y'all want it for your next yard sale or whatnot.
We'll swap you, barter, we'll trade you.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
for-
just it's
We
because
just
we
give
work
it.
hand in hand with a
Yeah.
lot of times. So
Okay.
so we that's because we only have a limited amount of space, and so one person, if they're moving, can really fill up all our whole place, and so sometimes we're overwhelmed with stuff, and that makes it difficult when we just get entirely too much stuff.
Well, that's what our community coalition that I'm part of, that y'all been to, is try to get everybody together and say, oh, I didn't know you did that.
it's wonderful, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good service.
Yeah. Okay, if I want to, do you need volunteers?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you did. How do you volunteer if you want to?
We really need help in the thrift store. Just going through the donations, hanging them up, keeping us organized. Oh my gosh, that would be a blessing in itself.
Okay.
As far as the mentor program,
We need sponsors, people who would be willing to sponsor
AA, NA,
from AA, NA.
Yeah.
That would probably be,
transportation.
yeah.
If they're comfortable taking them around taking them to interviews or what have you. If you run a company,
And you need help,
And you need help.
temporary or whatever?
right? I can give you as many names as you want.
Okay, if I wanted to volunteer, I just call the numbers, contact information that we're going to give here in just a minute.
Yes.
Or just stop in at the thrift store and say,
And talk to George.
talk to who?
George or Bob. They're down there, and they'll give you all the information plus more that you didn't ask for.
Okay.
Yeah.
George is wonderful.
Okay, now what if I need your services? Or is it that, how does that happen? Do you,
I think most of the time, there's usually somebody will go to one of the government agencies most of the time, right? And then they'll give them our number. At least that's the phone calls I get. They've been referred by some other organization to us, and so.
Usually.
And we're not large enough yet until we get a lot of volunteers. Really, that's usually the way we get that is through other referrals.
okay. Well, let's give your contact information again before we forget it. Telephone number, email.
Our telephone numbers are 270-845-1683, and then or 270-210-3736. Our address is 1526 Park Avenue in Paducah.
That's on That's
On the
16th Street corner there. 15th. Yeah, like, if I'm not that smart to figure that out sometimes.
Well, we're adjacent to the large cemetery.
Maple Lawn or
Okay.
whatever the one
Maple
is
Lawn,
downtown.
maybe. Yeah, I don't remember.
And that's where you guys are located, and that's where the thrift store is.
That's where it all happens.
And the church.
Yes.
And
One-stop
email
shop.
address,
It's an Angels Road to Success at yahoo.com.
Facebook, you
And
said?
Facebook, yeah, Facebook.
Angels Road to Success.
Yeah.
Just Angels, drop the "and." Okay. Okay.
Drop the "and." That's right.
Well, it's been so nice to talk to you, and this is a service that I didn't know about, and it's different than most services. Different charities, people give food and all this other things, but to help get jobs. So I want to thank you for coming today and sharing with us, and I want to thank our viewers for paying attention and watching our show today. I'm your host, Bud Kwok. Until next time, this is Community Service Spotlight.
Thank you.